Impression of reality of the ADC. In our investigation, we focused exclusively on the experience of our participants. The question of the authenticity of the ontological status of these contacts is not the subject of our research project. Although a series of questions informed us about the impression of reality of ADCs observed by the participants. We asked them if they thought their ADC was authentic or rather a hallucination or illusion created through grief. So we asked the question in two different ways. First, we asked shortly after your experience, a few hours, a few days after the ADC, did you think that your ADC was authentic beyond doubt? And 77% replied by the affirmative. 14% said it could possibly really have happened. And then I don't list here the other options they had of replies. And then we asked them today, at the moment when they were completing the questionnaire, today with hindsight, do you think that your ADC was authentic beyond doubt? 90% said yes, it was authentic beyond doubt. And 8% said yes, I think it really, possibly, really has happened. These findings show that the conviction of the authenticity of the contact has increased significantly in retrospect. Having an ADC often leads to a new or heightened interest in spiritual matters. Many experience gather information to find answers to the questions that their experience has raised, or they seek a dialogue with people who had similar experiences. Over time, this information contributes to a better understanding and allows experience to attribute a deeper meaning to their ADC. This would explain the increase of this belief over time. Impact of ADCs on bereavement, emotional healing. Another key finding from the survey demonstrates the powerful impact of ADCs on the grieving process. The vast majority of respondents say their experience brought them comfort and emotional healing. ADCs are much more than just a simple perception of the deceased. Beyond the brief but striking perception of the deceased, which is in itself quite remarkable, it is the information transmitted and the emotions perceived and felt during the ADC by the experience that give them all their meaning. So we asked our participants if the ADC had brought them comfort and emotional healing, and this was indeed the case for 73%. 10% said no, no change, no emotional healing. 8% were not sure. And this is interesting. 8% said they were never mourning the person they deceased, and yet the contact did take place. We have two testimonies here. Knowing my son came to me in a calm and loving way to comfort me has made me carry on to help others that have lost their children. Understanding the deepest loss imaginable and truly believing we will see them again, and they have just gone on ahead before us. This second testimony concerned a death by suicide. I am no longer sad that this person is gone, because she made me feel her state before, and I understood her reasons, and she made me feel her peace after. Impact of ADCs on bereavement, sadness. We have investigated the impact of ADCs on the sadness triggered by the loss of the significant other. For 44%, the sadness was reduced, and for 10%, it was even completely removed. But it remained the same for 31%, and it even increased the sadness for 2%. So for a little over half of our respondents, the sadness was indeed reduced or even removed, but we saw it for 31%, it didn't make any difference. Obviously, ADCs are not magic. The sadness does not disappear as if by a miracle. There is something else at stake. I would postulate that ADCs trigger an awareness that enables experience to understand the true nature of death. They initiate a new way of looking at the loss of a loved one and allow the bereaved to see their physical absence in a new light. These contacts open up the perspective of an afterlife and the possibility of a future reunification. It is obvious that, seen from this perspective, these experiences can indeed impact the sadness of the bereaved. Why didn't these contacts liberate all of our participants from sadness? We don't know, but we do know that grieving is an extremely complex process which is determined by many factors and is different for everyone. I have chosen 3 short testimonies to illustrate this purpose. So the question was, did the ADC reduce the sadness? Not immediately, because of my learning curve, but the sadness of grief is definitely reduced now because of this new awareness that what can be both now and in the future. I felt I grieved with my son and that he guided and helped me along the process. The sadness remains deep and ingrained, but hope has emerged. Impact of ADCs on bereavement, a lasting inner bond. One of the essential objectives of the grieving process is to accept the irrevocability of the physical absence of the deceased loved one. Once this evidence is understood and accepted, the creation of a new inner bond with him or her can take place. A new relationship that will endure and that nothing can ever break. ADCs open the perspective of this continuous relational bond, which manifests itself very exceptionally and very briefly during these beautiful experiences. We asked participants how they would describe their relationship with the deceased. My relationship ended when he or she died, 4%. I thought that the relationship ended with death, but my ADC revealed that the bond continues, 34%. I believe that my bond with the deceased continued after death, and my ADC deepened the connection, 49%. Now we have 2 testimonies on this subject. My relationship is intact afterwards, just as before. I just have to cope with the physical absence. I have less doubts about the inner relationship that continues. I think it is not one way from me to him, but that he hears me and listens to me and sends me signs to tell me I am here.